What's up, welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Lady Gaga's seventh album, Mayhem. Gaga back with her first proper album since Chromatica came out way back in 2020. Of course, Chromatica, the Chromatica Ball tour was COVID delayed, so Gaga's been a little busy, wrapping up, gearing up into a new album cycle. Of course, last year she co-starred in Joker 2, Joker Folie à Deux. A good performance from her despite that movie's major shortcomings. Gaga released a jazz album, Harlequin, in support of that album, which didn't perform all too well, kind of similar to her previous venture with this, the, duet collab album she made with Tony Bennett a while back. However, she did release the Mayhem lead single, Disease, way back in the fall, which found some success, but not nearly as much success as the second single for this album, which of course would be the Bruno Mars duet, Die With A Smile, which is somehow over 2 billion streams on Spotify. Just a massive record. It already won the Pop Collab Grammy this year. And that's a song that, I don't really care for. It's not my style of music, but it's clearly such a massive song. I think Bruno's international fame really helps buoy that as well. His playlisting success, I think, just contributes to that song just kind of being on all the time, being on radio all the time, etc. So good for them. And regardless of my misgivings about Die With A Smile, I was very much anticipating a new Lady Gaga album just because Lady Gaga is one of, if not the most singular force we have in pop music right now. And given the 2024 we just had in pop music, where we actually had new stars break through with Sabrina Carpenter and Chappell Roan, and a familiar face break through like never before in Charlie XCX, it's cool to then see the more stalwart veterans of the pop space return and reestablish themselves. What's great about Lady Gaga's seventh album, Mayhem, is this is Gaga once again reminding us of her core strengths. This is a very cohesive album, fast drums, loud guitars, banger synths, very campy in the mode we expect from Lady Gaga, big choruses across the album. The songwriting on this is just so tight and speaks to, again, Gaga's core strength of pop convention with her indelible one-of-one personality. It's just a great mix. Single Abracadabra is very much back to the basics energy. Monster Chorus, great bridge. It's very much bad romance coded, and if you're a Lady Gaga fan, that's music to your ears. Literally. Album cut Shadow of a Man has hardcore telephone energy. Again, a great feeling. Overall, I find the album really successful. If there's any quibble I have with it, is that a lot of the song structures are kind of similar in terms of how they build up to the choruses. The production range is largely the same. I would not call this album samey though, because again, I think that it just speaks to the overall songcraft going in. And kind of going through the track list here, the very first single, again, Disease, was really a sign of things to come, right? It has these big drums and has this really big chorus. Abracadabra, the same thing. I think Abracadabra almost gives me kind of like a Eurodance energy in terms of the campiness that Lady Gaga is bringing you on that, but that's a great song. It's exactly what you think of when you think of Lady Gaga's brand, her sound, and I think it's a awesome big song. I'm glad it's a hit so far. Garden of Eden, I think the guitar chords are really great on that. The synthesizers are really bumping. Another banger bridge, and just vocally really awesome from Gaga. Sounds great. Perfect Celebrity, kind of more like an industrial vibe, at least a little bit, but the chorus really rocks out. I love the call and response vocals. The drummer's really spazzing out. Sounds really good. It's really hard, really loud. Vanish Into You, again, another big chorus. I mean, Gaga, doing the press for this album, even talked about how you can't go wrong with a great chorus. And frankly, I agree, especially when it's coming from her, someone who's so unique and so vocally great. Killa features none other than Gesaffelstein, which I wasn't expecting to hear them collab. It's kind of the first real switch up, sound-wise on the album. Kind of like a higher, lighter register from Gaga's singing. I think Gesaffelstein, he really kind of fits into this. Like, they don't sound like his songs so much as they sound like him in support of Gaga's own music. So it fits right into the vibe, which I think is exactly kind of what you want from a DJ producer matching up with a big star. Zombie Boy is one of my favorite songs on the whole album, if not my favorite. This is like an 80s glam track, very groovy, very disco. I think this is great and kind of feels like Gaga's revisiting or trying out the kind of 80s pop convention that we found in mainstream pop in the 2020s. Gaga hadn't really done that to this point. It really wasn't on Chromatica at all. And even if I think that trend has kind of subsided, at least for now, over the last 2 years, it's cool to hear Gaga's take on it because it still has all of the Gaga quirks. I think it's a great track. Love Drug, I also like this one quite a bit. Very up-tempo drums, very strong vocals. I think the pre-chorus in particular is the best moment on the song. Don't Call Tonight, another great groove. Shadow of a Man, as I mentioned, hardcore telephone energy. I also love the guitar outro on that. The Beast, perhaps the biggest vocal showcase of all the songs from Gaga. I think that one's great. And then Blade of Grass, kind of out of nowhere, as a slowing it down piano ballad, which obviously we know Lady Gaga is very great at making, but just wasn't really a vibe we were getting on Mayhem to this point. Song kind of slows down and kind of loops and repeats itself after a while for me. Not my favorite ballad from her. And again, kind of feels a bit out of place on the album before it actually ends with "I Would Smile," which feels kind of tacked on again in the context of the rest of Mayhem, but it's a monster hit. You kind of got to keep it on there for the streaming synergy. So I get it. But yeah, man, Lady Gaga, I think this is a reminder of, a lot of the inspiration points from Chapel Roan, right? Chapel Roan didn't invent all of the camp stylings that she's so successfully brought into her artistry, right? Lady Gaga is a big OG for Chapel in that regard. And of course, Lady Gaga is not the inventor, the originator of any of this as well. But it's cool to, I think, see Gaga so effortlessly kind of reinvent and reestablish herself in pop the way she's done a few times. Obviously, she's dabbled with so many different genres. Like, we are so far removed from the sounds of Joanne on this album, for example. And, Gaga, her advancing age in the definition of mainstream pop stars, she's proving that age is just a number, which is, of course, great to see and speaks to her actual kind of timeless talent. We know she'll tour this album. I would love to see her live. I'd want to see the Chromatica Ball, but it was just so pricey, with the live music demand post-COVID was through the roof. I just couldn't justify it. Would love to see her perform, this next tour. I've never seen her live. I've also long thought that eventually she'll do some kind of residency at the Sphere in Las Vegas. I think that would just be such a visual feast that's a must-see whenever that does happen. We're probably pretty far removed from that because she's reestablished herself as a pop force with Mayhem, so she'll be able to do her own actual international tour with this record. I also have enjoyed her acting to this point, with A Star Is Born, House of Gucci, and even Joker 2. I think she's a really great screen presence. Obviously, the peak is still A Star Is Born, but looking forward to seeing her act as more in the future. But yeah, let me know, what did you think of Lady Gaga's 7th album, Mayhem? What was your favorite moment on the album? What's your favorite song? And for more music reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.